Should I stay or should I go? That is a question that those of us in difficult, toxic, dysfunctional relationships ask ourselves all the time. It is something that repeatedly comes up because there's problems, and sometimes, not sometimes, often those problems feel overwhelming. You feel stuck because things don't change, or maybe you've hoped for change, believed in change, and then it hasn't materialized, or it has for a little while, and then things have gone back to the way that they used to be. And you're wondering is, should you leave? Should you go or should you stay? And there's so many answers to that question, but I'm going to give you some parameters that you can use. Now, I'm not going to talk about the scriptural reasons that you can divorce or not divorce, or can separate or not separate. That's a completely different topic, and there's plenty of information available for you. One of the people that I recommend is Gretchen Baskerville. She has written The Life-Saving Divorce, and she puts out quite a bit of information, scripture, for why it is okay to divorce in a toxic relationship, toxic marriage. Could recommend that you go there. There are other people that have written, I can't think of the person who wrote it, but The Redemptive Divorce I found to be very helpful in terms of looking at kind of a scriptural justification for how presenting a person with a boundary and giving them an opportunity to change. And if there is no change, no repentance, that a consequence can be divorce. But that's all I'm going to say about that. There are other people that will tell you absolutely these are the 4 reasons you can divorce, or 3 reasons you can divorce scripturally. You've got to work through that in your own heart. You've got to look at a situation. It could be just a family member cutting off a relationship with a parent, or cutting off a relationship with a sibling, or an in-law, or a friend. It could be anybody. But primarily, I think if you're listening to this, you're going to be wondering about an intimate relationship, possibly with a spouse or a partner. So should I stay or should I go? It's a question. Now, first of all, I often tell people, if you are in a committed relationship, you're in a marriage, it does not help you to think about that constantly, to constantly be emotionally battling that back and forth. If you can't get up in the morning and say, I'm going to leave this relationship because that is what I have to do, that's the only option I have, then for that day, you're going to stay. So do your best, work on yourself, work on your detachment, work on being the best person you can in that relationship, work on getting better insight into the problems, work on being able to set boundaries, speak your truth, work on living your own life, taking care of yourself. And for that day, until you can say the opposite, I'm going to go and I need to go, this is the right thing, then just be there and take care of yourself. So let's look at the reasons, should I stay or should I go? So let's look at the ones first for why you might want to stay. And the first one is, you want to stay when you're not in denial. You can see the truth about the problems. You're not making excuses. You're not rationalizing. You're not minimizing. You can see them for what they really are, and you're making a decision. I see that this is an abusive marriage. I see that this is a toxic marriage. I see that I'm married to a narcissist. I mean, I have so many people who tell me, I see it, but I'm going to stay. I'm choosing to stay. I'm choosing to stay faithful to my vows. I'm choosing to stay to have a 2-parent home. I'm choosing to stay because financially I can't afford to leave. I'm choosing because I'm going to, whatever it is, fill in the blank. So when you aren't in denial, you can see the truth. That is a healthier way to stay, because you are making a choice. And when we make a choice, we don't feel like a victim. We feel empowered just by the very fact that you're able to say, I see it as it is, and I'm making this choice. And remember, that choice is for one day at a time or one moment at a time. Things may change. Your awareness, your perception, your convictions, your needs. This situation may all of a sudden get to a point where it's not okay anymore. It can change. So you're looking at it for now, for today. This is the decision I'm making. So you're not in denial. You can stay when there aren't non-negotiables or unacceptable things. If we're getting into the area of having completely non-negotiables, there's abuse. Bottom line, I'm not living with abuse, or there's um, any type of abuse to children. I'm not tolerating abuse to children, whether that's physical, emotional, verbal. If there's money being stolen, if there's an affair going on, somebody's being unfaithful, those might be and should be, as much as you can possibly do that, unacceptable things. But again, people choose to stay sometimes with those because that's their conviction and that is their choice. And if that is their choice, I don't shame people for that. It is each person's choice to stay or not stay. You want to stay if the person is healthy and you're healthy or have fairly healthy skills and you're able to work on the problem. So there's actually hope. That gives you a lot of hope in a relationship. Hey, we've got some really tough problems. We've got some things that we keep hitting up against, but we've both got good skills and we both can talk about things and we're both willing to work on them. That gives you a lot of hope in a relationship. You can stay when you can realistically say that there's hope for a better future. Like I know this has been really hard, but I believe it can be better, that there is hope for us. And like I said, we're willing to work on it. That's another reason. You can stay when you're not harming your health. I mean, it's very, very often that especially women in very dysfunctional, toxic relationships will get physically ill, often with autoimmune diseases. Cancer has increased chance when you are stressed and your body has constant cortisol. It's not good for you. So you want to make sure that you look at, how is this relationship affecting my health? You want to make sure that the price that you're paying is not something that is really going to catch up with you and ruin your life because your health is ruined. You can stay when it's not harming the children. Now, a lot of people will say, well, two-parent family is best, or, as long as the children are not the ones being abused. Children seeing abuse or harm, children in dysfunctional families are definitely suffer from that. Children are affected. They know that there's something wrong. They know often what is wrong. They're very perceptive. They pick up on the moods, the tones, even whatever that is. Children can often give a therapist a very specific explanation of, hey, yeah, my dad's having an affair, but my mom doesn't know it, or my dad drinks all the time, but he thinks he hides it from us, or my mom takes those pills, but she doesn't know that we know, kind of thing. So kids are very perceptive, but you want to make sure you want to take stock of how it's harming your children. I really regret allowing my children to be harmed, paid a big price for that. So did they. And if I had to do that over again, I would not have done that. But it's very hard. Sometimes you have to say, I'm gonna make a choice for my children, even if I don't want to be out of a relationship. For some people, that will be a very easy line to draw. For others, it's hard to draw for themselves and for their children. You want to stay when you're able to detach from the problems and have a life. So losing yourself completely in a relationship is not good, whatever that relationship is. If it's marriage, if it's from a parent, if it's with your losing yourself in your children's lives, you want to be a person. You want to live your life and use your talents that God has given you. You want to use your personality. You want to be who God created you to be. Use your gifts and live your life. You're entitled to that and should do that, whether you're married or not married. So when you're in a very difficult relationship, you can learn things like I teach you in my classes: detachment, speaking the truth, taking care of yourself, setting boundaries, facing your fears, changing yourself, not the other person. All of those things will help you to be able to live your life in spite of the problems that you have in a relationship. So I often, I would say try detaching. People write me their relationship dilemmas a lot, and I'll say, okay, here's some things to try. Try these tools, the 10 principles. See how they change the relationship. See how they change the way that you interact. Not saying that you cause the person to be the way that the person is, your partner or spouse is. You do not. Person is responsible for themselves, but the way that we respond to and interact with people often triggers things or will perpetuate the problem. Like somebody says something to get to you and you respond, and then the argument continues. They say something, you don't respond, the argument stops. So there's a lot of things that you can use to live in a better state of harmony within yourself and within the relationship, regardless of who the person is and what the problems are. You want to stay when you have absolutely no choice, financially, relationally, to leave. Some cultures, it's very, very difficult to leave, and you pay a heavy price, and you may not be able to or be willing. Financially, I've talked to many, many people who said, I want to leave, but I can't. I absolutely cannot afford it. I have nowhere to go. Now, remember, there are shelters, especially for women, that are usually available. Police departments often know where they are and can direct you to them. Churches often have help that they will offer you through care ministry or through other ministries they know in the community. There are often places that you can, like, you may not think about it, relatives or friends that maybe would be willing to let you be there for a while and then get some help from the state or, wherever that is. But I mean, just before you say, I have to stay, very toxic, but I have to stay, please reach out and make sure that there aren't any resources for you that you could utilize. But again, people do sometimes make that choice and to stay when there's financial resources that they wouldn't have. I've had women and men tell me, look, I've got financial opportunity where I can take care of my health. I've got a chronic disease and my spouse is willing to give me money, or there's money available for me. But if I was to leave, that would not be available. I wouldn't be able to take care of myself. I live fairly separately. I've got a decent life and I'm okay. I'm not constantly reacting to and triggered by that person. Again, a choice. So you want to leave when there are unacceptable, non-negotiable things. Like I said, abuse or harm to a child, or somebody is taking and spending all of your money, is hiding it, is you're going to stay so much longer, and then all of a sudden there'll be no money left for you. There will be no options, no resources. So when there is something that is unacceptable, something that is going on that you are not willing to tolerate, and remember that cognitive dissonance we talked about in a prior video. Whereas if you are living with something that you know, and I've experienced this, you're living with something that you know is wrong, it violates your beliefs, it violates your standards, it violates your boundaries, and you're doing it, you feel very disconnected. This is who you are, and this is how you're living. You feel very disconnected, and it wears on you, and it pulls you down, and it causes you to feel very split, and just a lot of disconnect within you. This is not healthy for you. That's very difficult to live under. So when you know that there's unacceptable things that you're dealing with and yet you're tolerating them, you may be really torn inside because of that cognitive dissonance. You can leave when there is no hope for a better future. You just know this absolutely isn't going to change. That's the case with somebody who has narcissistic personality disorder, somebody who has had years and years and years of a drug addiction and just absolutely refusing to do anything about it. When it is killing you spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, body, soul, spirit, when it is just taking everything out of you and you are just disintegrating. You do not have to stay in that situation. That is a time where it's like, I've got to save myself. If you have a choice between saving yourself or saving the other person, you must save yourself. Just like on a plane, when you put the oxygen mask on you first, you save yourself, the person can save themselves or get help from someone else. You don't have to lose yourself to save someone else. Of course, you can leave and should leave when there is abuse or there's harm to children. And if the person absolutely has been confronted, is still in denial, refuses to address the problems, will not better themselves, and you've tried and you've done everything you can, and you are just at the end of your rope, then you do not have to stay there and continually offer and hope again and again and again on that kind of that hamster wheel where you're doing the same thing. You got to get off and do something different in order to potentially get change. But if you are feeling like there is no hope, and you can feel that sometimes in relationships, and if you do set a boundary and if you do leave, and the person that is a catalyst for change for that person, great. You can deal with that if and when it happens, and you can decide if you want to change your mind. But if you are pretty sure that there is no hope and you're just deflated and this is not okay, then that is a time when you can stay to leave. Again, I am not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you that you have to stay or you have to leave. I'm not making a statement that abuse is okay or narcissism is okay. Neither one of those are okay. Toxic, dysfunctional, manipulative, narcissistic, abusive relationships are bad for us. And they are not something that we have to live with without being able to set boundaries that take care of ourselves. So again, there's plenty out there that you could look at regarding the divorce and separation marriage thing, or question, I shouldn't say thing, question. So this is not meant to do that. It's just kind of meant to ask you some questions and give you some things that you can think about to see kind of where you are with that. So as always, you may write me with your particular relationship dilemmas to my email at carla@changemyrelationship.com. I promise you, I read them all and I respond to them, and I would be happy to address your questions along this way. And I would highly recommend, if you are in one of these types of relationships, that you take my classes. They are very, very inexpensive, $30 or $25 for 10 weeks of a support group online with a lesson and a huge study guide. And they will teach you the 10 principles. There's to work on your self-esteem and self-image in the Truth in the Mirror. I have healing the wounds of your past, just boundaries classes, 10 life-saving, or the Women Thriving in Difficult Marriages is with my 10 life-saving principles for women in difficult marriages book, and then Transforming Difficult Relationships for All Difficult Relationships. They are a treasure trove of tools, skills, principles that you can use to do this type of thing. I would just highly recommend them, as other people would. And I would love to be able to meet you in one of those classes. I do have facilitators run them, but I do come in and work with you a couple of times at least in the discussion group. So God bless you. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write me. Okay, thanks.